Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Hello and welcome to another episode, Living the Dream with Curveball. I am your host, Curveball, and today I am joined by Jimmy Clare. He is a motivational speaker, an autism advocate, and the founder of Crazy Fitness Guys. Jimmy, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you start off by giving everybody a little bit of background about yourself, maybe tell them where you're from and anything else that you would like the audience to know.
My name is Jimmy Clare. I'm a motivational speaker, autism advocate. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm still living there. I need to get out of this cold hellhole. I think I should move to Florida. I don't know. It's either that or California, maybe. I'm not really sure, but I'm also slightly autistic as well.
So are you on the spectrum? Because I know my son, he's autistic too, mildly autistic. Are you on the spectrum, and do you have any other disabilities?
Yeah, I am on the spectrum. I like to refer to my autism as slightly because it's not as severe as others. I also like to think as myself as the bridge between people who are on the spectrum and off the spectrum. And I'm kind of like the closing of the gap. And I do have spinal stenosis in my neck, which is hard for me to move my neck up and down and left to right. Yeah, it's definitely not fun. And my doctor told me that the only way to cure the spinal stenosis is they would have to take one of those rotor-rooters and just to open up the spinal cord to let it move around more. And I said to them, let me know when that's 99.9% effective, because he told me that it's a 99.9% fail rate. And I was like, oh, that's uplifting news.
Absolutely. So how did you get into motivational speaking, and how did you get into your company and all the things that you're doing today?
How I got into motivational speaking, I jumped around 5 different majors in college, and I'm still in college. My current major is media studies. It's called media studies, and that can lead me into motivational speaking, author, and my own being a publisher or copywriter, etc. And the reason why I started Crazy Fitness Guy was because I really liked my English professor back in, I think it was the year 2017. And it was like I was finishing up my spring semester, and he told me to continue practicing writing. You needed to keep doing it over and over and over again. And I knew I couldn't just come up with just writing in a Word document and Google document, because it would just be totally boring, and I don't like boring things. And I don't think anyone likes boring things. And if they do, well, I don't know, but that would be really boring. And so I decided to create a website. When I first started on WordPress, after working 90 plus hours a week, I just kind of decided I couldn't do it anymore, and because I was exhausted. And so then I jumped over to Squarespace, and I've been there happily for 3 years now. So that's a good sign.
Absolutely. So talk about your life growing up with autism. Did you have any behavior problems when you were younger, and what has changed in your autism from when you were a child to now?
So I did have Well, I did have a lot of behavioral problems, and that would be an understatement for people who know me. I used to have a lot of autism meltdowns. I couldn't tell you exactly why they all occurred. I don't know if they could have been avoided. If you went to ask any of the people who know me and all my friends and family members in my circle, they would tell you they'll tell you a lot of different reasons of why I had all these meltdowns and everything. And I don't think they could, I don't know if they would be right or they would be wrong. But what changed is I got into fitness, I got into eating healthy, and because fitness helps me release my adrenaline and helps me stay on an even keel. And I like living a healthy life, and I kind of owe it to my lifestyle change, where I don't have as many autism meltdowns.
So let's talk about your company. Speaking of fitness, tell everybody all about your company.
Crazy Fitness Guy is a healthy living website that basically, I would say it would just, every article I write, I try to relate to my readers, and I also try to be relatable to them. And I also like to, and I give spin on fitness through my autistic eyes. And the reason why I call myself an author is because every article I publish on my website and other people's websites, I'd rather be referred to as an author than a blogger, where someone might say, blogging is probably just your part-time passion. And it's not. It's, for me, motivational speaking is my career. I'm not as big as Tony Robbins, but one day I'll see myself as big stage like he does, and virtually everywhere. And the Crazy Fitness Guy's been up and running for 3 years so far. Next year would be number 4. I can I would say that it's I would say it's been fun a lot of the time. To say that it was a very if I said it was a joyride and it was very easy, I would be lying through my teeth.
Do you have any advice for parents or people living with autism out there that, maybe are younger than you and that need some advice or encouragement?
Yep. My advice for parents, and just people on the spectrum is don't give up on hope. Know that I went through bullying when I was growing up. I I had to overcome 9 different ear surgeries, and I wear hearing aids today, and that's a long story of why. I also I was so definitely don't give up hope, because if I went through many years of bullying, 9 ear surgeries. So don't give up hope, because there's always somewhere in the midst of all the, I would say, crap going on, there's always hope somewhere. Second, another tip I would give, be have a lot of patience, because my parents had a lot of patience with me, even though some days it was tougher than others to have patience with me. And I do not say that lightly at all, because there's some days my parents probably really wanted just to kind of had enough of me. Not saying not to be rude to my parents or anything, but I didn't know how I would react in their shoes, if I was in their shoes. And the third tip I would give is there's always a brighter future for everyone, and you just got to give us the right tools, have us see the right people have us meet the right connections because it eventually will get better. Because I used to be, let's just say, some kind of a bratty little, I wouldn't say a bratty kid, but kind of a kind of just like hot-headed, bratty, autistic kid who I wouldn't say always. I never got always get what I want. I threw a lot of autism. I had a lot of autism meltdowns, and that's just an understatement.
So, yes, with autistic kids, you definitely have to have patience. I know that. So, I know that my son has things that he gets stuck on because he's autistic. What are some of the things that you got stuck on when you were younger?
I think I think what I get stuck on is when I was getting bullied. I got stuck on all the bullying, and I was focused. I was in a really I like it called I like it to call it my dark times back then because I wanted every single bully expelled, and some of the teachers who one of the teachers who was picking on me back in 12th grade, she was kind of abusing her power as a teacher. I was kind of annoyed at the school for hiring such a teacher. I'm not going to name any names, but they probably know who it is. I also, and I still get fixated on stuff today. I got fixated on my website, which now has turned, which helped me got to 1,400 visitors last month, which is awesome. I also get fixated on many, many different tech companies out there who kind of, well, who likes to kind of hide stuff from people, like, I don't know, let's say like Facebook for allowing for just changing their policies overnight for, like, it seems like they do it overnight for all the brands and businesses and everything. And I was like, well, thanks for notifying me. Like, I appreciate that. And it was like, well, we did notify you. And it was like, well, I missed that email somewhere down the road.
Well, do you have any podcasts or any other things that you're doing to promote your company?
Yeah, I have my own podcast called Crazy Fitness Guys Healthy Living Podcast. It's a monthly podcast that covers similar topics on my website, like autism, fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, managing stress, motivation, self-care, and whatnot. I also have my blog on my website you can where you can read all the latest blog posts. There's a lot of blog posts. I think there's over 100. I think I lost count.
Would you like to go into your surgeries or at least explain maybe why you had to have those 9 surgeries?
Sure. The reason why I had those 9 surgeries, each of those surgeries leading into one another, so to speak. I kind of forget the word, but I was when I was born, I developed a cholesteatoma. I developed a cholesteatoma. I don't know how to explain it because I'm not a doctor, but it was blocking my hearing in my right ear, so they had to remove that when I was younger, and then they had to put. I believe they had to put tubes in my ear too, but I don't remember all those other details. But each surgery was like an improvement from the previous one, and the previous one, and then because they kept on falling out and everything, or being, well, not even falling out, but being they were moving around. I had to keep going. I had to keep using hearing aids because the devices weren't staying in my ear. So then finally, back in 2012, I got 3 surgeries in one day. I highly do not recommend doing that because it makes you feel like you got hit by a bus. But my mom scheduled all these appointments on the same exact day just to get it all over with, so I don't have to do it over and over and over again. So it was kind of beneficial, but you really feel like crap for like 3 days. I had six wisdom teeth pulled. I had 2 moles removed, and then I had my 9th ear surgery. And 9th ear surgery, they put in a device that was embedded in my ear, and so I could hear without a hearing aid. The reason why I need hearing aids now is not because my hearing got worse. I have ringing in my ears, and it helps mask my ringing. And the ringing happened because, let's just say, a audiologist wanted to give me this fake test, and I knew it was fake, but I didn't speak out at the time because, doctors, you're supposed to trust them and whatnot. So they wanted to test how loud I can withstand noise in my ear, and it's like, I got so many different ears, sir. I had my hearing tested so many times throughout my life. That doesn't sound legit to me. But you can't really argue with medicine, to a doctor, because you want to believe that they're right. And so then that's when, and then afterwards, I had ringing in both of my ears. And I thought, well, after you were allowed concert, the ringing eventually dies down. Fortunately, mine didn't. I'm not going to name any names I don't remember the name of the doctor, but I'm not going to name the hospital, but I'm never going back there again.
Understood. Are there any other topics that we haven't talked about that you would like to touch on? Anything else you want people to know about you?
If anybody would like to follow me, you can follow me on Crazy Fitness Guy. You can just go to crazyfitnessguy.com, and you can follow Crazy Fitness Guy on all major social media platforms. And for myself, you can follow me at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook and Instagram is jimmy.clare.speaker, and Twitter is jimmyclarespeak. And also, if you'd like to book me for your next podcast or an event, just go to my website, and I'd be happy to give you a very unique episode or event.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Clare. Jimmy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
And listeners, please make sure to rate and review the show. For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.